Right now, a community gathers for a vigil after a high school student loses his life in a Fitchburg homicide. The latest details on the investigation.
And the latest in the saga surrounding the athletic field at Edgewood High School as a Madison committee considers the Edgewood master plan just ahead.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Members of the community coming together to celebrate the life of a young man killed this weekend in what police are calling the first homicide in Fitchburg of the year. Investigators tonight have confirmed the victim is 17-year-old Shay Watson. Police say a body was found inside a home on Lyman Lane around 9 o'clock last night.
The police department says as of tonight, there haven't been any arrests in this case. During a press conference this afternoon, police said they're asking neighbors to provide any surveillance video they might have.
If anyone has information, we believe that they do, we strongly encourage them to contact us so that we can continue this investigation and ideally hold those responsible accountable for this case.
An extensive autopsy was finished today. The Dane County Medical Examiner's Office says he died of what they are calling, quote, homicidal firearm-related trauma. Police say they're also looking to provide additional patrols in the Tower Hill neighborhood in the coming days, but say they do not believe there is an immediate danger to the public.
It does not appear that this was a random act. That's why I do not believe that there is an immediate threat. There is no information driving an immediate threat out there. But again, clearly, if there is somebody responsible for a homicide in our community or our area that has not been taken into custody, people should remain vigilant.
The Verona Area High School principal sent a letter home to families today sharing the news of the death of one of their students so that families could monitor their own students' emotional well-being in the event that they knew the student. The principal says counselors will be available to provide any support that is needed.
Watson played in the past for the Verona High School football team. Understandably, a family member tells us tonight that some of Watson's relatives aren't ready to talk about him yet. But a longtime friend of his is sharing his memories of him. Madeline O'Neill tells us how he hopes his good friend is remembered tonight.
Aubrey Dawkins, a Verona High School senior, considers Watson a brother. Dawkins says ever since second grade, he and Watson have been close, playing football together and hanging out almost every day after school growing up. He won't forget the one time Watson won the spelling bee in elementary school and how he loved taking summer trips out in the country. Dawkins says he wants Watson remembered as he and his friends knew him, a young man who loved his job working with kids at a daycare and one who wanted to grow up and get a higher education so he could come back and help out his community.
When I think about Shay, I always just remember his smile. Anytime you see him, literally anytime, any place, he's always smiling, always laughing about something, always making jokes. He's a great guy to have around. He just lightens up the mood in the room.
Before playing in Verona, Watson played football at Madison West High School. Dawkins says Watson had been planning to attend Madison West again this year. Now, other friends of Watson's are telling me about him tonight. One common theme is that he wanted to make a difference and change the world. Dawkins says a reminder tonight is to let your friends and family know you love them while you can.
Yeah. Sad.
Very good message. Maddie, thank you.
You're welcome.
As we mentioned, this is still a developing story. Be sure to stay with News 3 Now as we learn more about the victim and get more information from police and potential suspects. We'll have the latest updates tomorrow morning, and as always, at Channel3000.com. Next tonight, happening now, Edgewood is back in the spotlight.
The Madison Plan Commission is discussing multiple ordinances related to the school and its plans to build a new stadium. Amy Reed joins us live from outside the meeting. Amy?
Hundreds of people showed up to speak on this tonight, some for and some against the ordinances. Now, one of these ordinances repeals Edgewood's master plan. This is the same ordinance Mayor Rhodes Conway said she would no longer sponsor last week after Edgewood filed a federal lawsuit against the city. There's still about 5 years left on that plan, but by repealing it, the school would be able to go through standard zoning practices for building its new stadium. The school is for this, and the Madison city attorney said it's in the best interest of the city to go through with repealing the master plan. However, many residents don't support the repeal, and that's what many are saying tonight. Some say the school and the neighborhood need to still come to a resolution on this issue together.
It puts Edgewood in as unfair of a position as anybody else. I genuinely believe that Edgewood wants to work well with the neighborhood, and it wants to improve its athletic field. And I think it is hurting all of us to pit those two interests against each other.
The other ordinance talks about zoning changes. It would change the rules for those listed under the same zoning classification, so they would have to get a conditional use permit when they want to do construction on their property. It's complicated to get into, but those on Edgewood side say this is a direct target to them. It was submitted last week. There were a lot of questions on that, so the Plan Commission decided to refer that to their next meeting to give them a little bit more time to go over that. Still, no decision on the ordinance that would repeal the master plan.
Amy, thank you. Also tonight, the city's Finance Committee decided to terminate plans with the developer of the Judge Doyle Square project downtown. In June, the city chose Gephardt Development to finish that project. But tonight, a member of the Finance Committee said the group has concerns about time and costs associated with the build. The committee decided to recommend Stonehouse Development be selected to continue the work after more than an hour in executive session. The recommendation now moves to the full council.
Let's go look at our forecast now. Chief Meteorologist Gary Kinalte in our first alert forecast.
Well, after a cloudy, gloomy day with some showers, temperatures haven't moved very much and will still remain fairly mild overnight because of the cloud cover. But as we take a look at Doppler track, most of the showers are in the central and northern parts of the state. Just a few sprinkles north of the Dells right now, and the southern end of that line of showers has really fallen apart. But the clouds held high temperatures only to the upper 60s here in Madison. To the west, temperatures were a little warmer where there was a little bit of sunshine. Current temperatures are in the mid to upper 60s here in Madison, where skies have cleared out a little bit. They've actually dropped into the lower 60s. Dew point temperatures, though, are still in the mid to lower 60s, so that's about how cool temperatures will get tonight. And there are some patchy areas of fog, especially over eastern Wisconsin. By tomorrow morning, there could be a few patchy areas of fog. Temperatures starting out around 62. Tomorrow, those skies become mostly sunny. It'll be breezy and not as cool with a high of 75. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thanks. New at 10, a woman is dead after a weekend house explosion and fire in Richland County. On Saturday, the Vernon County Sheriff's Office got a call about a house on fire on County Highway U in Sylvan Township. When crews arrived, they found the home engulfed in flames. 63-year-old Bonnie Strothman was found dead behind the home. Her husband, Alan Strothman, was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. That is still under investigation.
If you are planning to use the interstate this week, you may want to watch your speed. The Wisconsin State Patrol says it will be conducting aerial and ground-based speed enforcement in Dane County tomorrow. Officers say they will be looking for speeding, tailgating, or other dangerous driving behaviors. Republican Congressman Sean Duffy, who represents northern Wisconsin, is resigning next month. Congressman Duffy posted the announcement on his Facebook page today. He says he wants to spend more time with his family. Duffy says he recently learned that his 9th child, which is due in October, has a heart condition and will need even more love, time, and attention. Congressman Duffy's last day will be September 23rd. Wisconsin U.S. Senator Ron Johnson says the Russian government has denied him a visa to visit the country as part of a congressional delegation. Senator Johnson issued a news release this afternoon. He serves as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee's subcommittee on Europe and regional security cooperation. The release doesn't say when he had planned to visit Russia, who else is on the congressional delegation, or why he was denied a visa.
Shine Medical Technologies in Janesville announces today that former House Speaker Paul Ryan has been appointed to its board of directors. The news release said Ryan has nearly 3 decades of experience with healthcare, business, energy, and other issues that pertain to that company. Shine was founded in 2010 and manufactures radioisotopes for nuclear medicine. Those looking to travel or commute between Sun Prairie and Madison can now take a bus between the cities. Effective today, Metro's new Route 23 takes passengers on a bus trip that for the first time does not require any transfer points. After a survey taken in 2018 by the Survey Research Center, 47% of people in Sun Prairie occasionally use an express bus service.
Some people will use this as their primary mode of transportation to get to work. Other people will use it when there's inclement weather, for instance. But it gives options, and that's always great.
City officials say the trip takes about 30 minutes one way. Those interested in purchasing a bus pass can visit the Sun Prairie City website or a Metro station. Still ahead tonight at 10, a tropical storm gains strength as it nears Puerto Rico, slated to make landfall there in the coming days.
Plus, a landmark verdict today in Oklahoma holding a major company responsible for the ongoing opioid crisis.
Welcome back. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg made a public appearance today to receive an honorary degree from the University of Buffalo. The 86-year-old's appearance came just days after her doctors announced she had successfully undergone 3 weeks of radiation therapy for pancreatic cancer. Her doctors say no further treatment is needed at this time, but it is the latest in a series of health issues for Justice Ginsburg, who had cancerous growths removed from her lung last December. Drug manufacturer Johnson & Johnson is planning to appeal a landmark ruling holding the company accountable for the opioid crisis in Oklahoma.
Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $572 million to help that state address its drug problem. The ruling could be a preview of what's to come in more than 2,000 other lawsuits against drug makers around the country. CBS's Tom Hansen reports.
I am entering an abatement plan that consists of costs totaling $572,102,028.
An Oklahoma judge issued the first verdict in what could be a number of lawsuits against pharmaceutical companies nationwide. Judge Thad Balkman sided with the state and found that Johnson & Johnson and its subsidiaries created a public nuisance in Oklahoma.
There's no question in my mind that these companies knew what was going on at the highest level. They just couldn't quit making money from it.
In 2017, Oklahoma sued Johnson & Johnson, Purdue Pharma, and Teva Pharmaceuticals for aggressively marketing opioids to doctors while significantly downplaying the addiction risks. Teva and Purdue settled for more than $300 million.
I feel like my boy's looking down.
Monday's ruling was personal for one member of the state's legal team who lost his son to addiction. Reggie Witten says he's grateful for the ruling, but not confident in the drug companies.
I think they'll appeal this thing and fight till hell freezes over.
An attorney for Johnson & Johnson said they'd take the case to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary. She defended her clients.
The company here made medicines that are essential for patients who suffer from debilitating harm. That's what they did. They did it responsibly.
Oklahoma estimates since 2000, about 6,000 people there have died from opioid overdoses, and thousands more are struggling with addiction. Tom Hansen, CBS News.
Shares of Johnson & Johnson jumped as much as 5% after the ruling. Investors had feared a far greater judgment against the company. Fires in the Amazon are continuing to burn, over 80,000 of them. World leaders and celebrities are leading the charge for something to be done. French President Emmanuel Macron pledged $20 million in emergency funds for the planet's lungs. Aerial images show the planet's lungs in flames. Brazil's president is deploying more than 40,000 troops to the Amazon who will help fight the fires. This after repeated denials that the fires posed a threat to the most biodiverse ecoregion on the planet.
Tropical storm Dorian gaining strength tonight as it barrels towards the Caribbean islands. Forecasters say it could hit Puerto Rico later this week as a hurricane. People waited in long lines today for food, gas, and other supplies. Parts of that U.S. territory still recovering, of course, nearly 2 years after Hurricane Maria. Dorian may threaten mainland Florida as we head into the weekend. We turn to Chief Meteorologist Gary Spinalti now as an update. He's been watching this as well. Gary?
Yeah, Dorian is now entering the Caribbean, and it does pose a threat to Puerto Rico, at least in the short term. Let's take a look at the latest information. It's actually dropped just a tad in strength just from the last update received literally a couple minutes ago from the National Hurricane Center. Now, maximum sustained winds 50 miles per hour. Storm moving to the west-northwest at 13 miles per hour. Located right here. Here's the Windward Islands, and Puerto Rico is right up there. And you can see the forecast from the National Hurricane Center basically strengthens to near hurricane strength in about 24 hours and then passes it just southwest of Puerto Rico as a minimal hurricane. But remember, the counterclockwise wind circulation means that the strong side of the storm, the winds moving in the same direction as the storm, will be on Puerto Rico's side. So they will be seeing some strong winds and certainly some heavy rain from it. Then depending on how much of an interaction it makes with the Bahamas and Haiti and the Dominican Republic, that could weaken it a little bit, but still could be close to hurricane strength as it would approach Florida by sometime Saturday night with sustained winds near 70 miles per hour. But this is the cone of uncertainty. So basically, it could end up anywhere from the northern portion of Cuba to somewhere in the Atlantic off the Georgia coast by that time. So again, Florida is keeping an eye on it, but it's still quite a distance out. Around here, we've had some welcome rain, a soaking rain in parts of the viewing area, especially from Madison eastward. We're about a half inch of rain rain fell closer to Milwaukee. Some areas may have picked up an inch of rain, but you can see some spotty amounts of less than a half inch out toward La Crosse area, and some areas picked up very little in between. And now you can see this band of showers just kind of fizzling apart. So most of the showers are going to be over with. A couple of thunderstorms out in Minnesota will stay up to the north, and it looks like we should clear out pretty nicely for tomorrow. The time lapse from the WISC Skycam, for some reason, didn't update there. Well, let's go on to the next graphic. There's the live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, showing still not too much in the way of fog. We've seen some fog coming and going at times during the day today. High temperature 68, the low 63, so very little difference in temperatures because of the cloud cover and the high moisture content. High temperature 10 degrees below normal, but the low temperature is actually 5 degrees above normal. And right now we're still at 67 degrees. Skies are mostly cloudy. The air is calm, the humidity at 90%, so we're seeing some patchy areas of fog around. High temperatures today, 60s through much of central and northeastern Wisconsin, low to mid 70s out west where there was a little bit more sunshine. Minnesota and Iowa had some sunshine as well, but you can see the areas that have cleared out are actually a little bit cooler. So Eau Claire is down to 60 while Madison is still at 67 degrees. You can see a little bit of that clearing starting to take place out to the west. A little more significant clearing will form as this jet stream just kind of comes overhead and forces some of the drier air down near the ground. That should clear out our skies for tomorrow, but also bring us slightly warmer conditions just because we'll have the sunshine for tomorrow, and then another shot of cooler air waiting in the wings to the north and west should get here sometime on Wednesday. So overnight, look for mostly cloudy skies, areas of fog a possibility, low temperature dropping to 62, but tomorrow skies should turn mostly sunny. It'll be breezy and not quite as cool with a high temperature of 75. On future track, look for those skies to start clearing out a little bit toward morning and some patchy fog, lows in the lower 60s. High temperatures tomorrow, mid 70s. It shows some showers here. I don't think there's going to be any. The air near the ground is going to be pretty dry, so there might be some rain aloft, but that will just evaporate before it reaches the ground. Tomorrow night, look for low temperatures in the mid 50s, and pretty much the same story on Wednesday. Brisk winds, high temperatures around 70 degrees. Taking a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, though, we go up a little bit on temperatures Thursday, down a little bit on Friday, a shower chance Friday night into early Saturday morning, but still the rest of the Labor Day weekend looking very nice. The high temperatures, low 70s for the weekend, mid 70s for Labor Day, and then a warm up for the middle part of next week.
All right, Gary, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Brewers slugger Christian Yelich will be out of uniform, like completely out of uniform, in an upcoming issue of ESPN, the magazine. He's taking part in its 11th annual body issue. The reigning National League MVP is among 15 athletes featured. The magazine features athletes posing in nearly nude images, which it says are all dedicated to the power of the athletic form. The gallery will appear online September 4th, and it will hit newsstands 2 days later.
Well, meanwhile, his manager, Craig Counsell, didn't have a whole lot of fun watching the Brewers play tonight against the Cardinals at Miller Park. We'll have the highlights, probably mostly St. Louis highlights, ahead in sports.
News
With only 30 games left in the regular season, this week's Brewers-Cardinals series is pretty important. The Cardinals lead the Brewers by 4.5 games atop the NL Central starting tonight as St. Louis visits Miller Park in Milwaukee the next 3 days. Tonight drove Brewers manager Craig Counsell crazy. Gio Gonzalez couldn't get anybody out early. Marcelo Zuna goes oppo. Look at the merry-go-round at home plate. It's a 3-run double. Then in the fourth, Yadier Molina doesn't miss a straight 89-mile-an-hour fastball. It gets out of there in a hurry. And Craig Counsell, your thoughts? That's what I thought. Final score, Cardinals 12, Brewers 2. The Cubs have the night off. The Packers' fourth and final preseason game is Thursday night against the Kansas City Chiefs at Lambeau Field. With this morning's rain in Green Bay, Matt LaFleur took practice inside the Hudson Center. You won't see most of the starters like Aaron Rodgers play against the Chiefs again Thursday. Now, it's not just Rodgers, but what about all the other starters who haven't played much, if at all, this preseason? LaFleur says they'll be fine opening night in Chicago a week from Thursday.
You know, we're very intentional about charting the number of reps our guys are getting throughout practices and making sure they're getting the necessary work. So we feel good about where they are at, and, you know, they'll be ready to go week 1.
The Badger volleyball team begins its season this week in the Big Ten ACC Challenge in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The Badgers will play Florida State Friday, North Carolina on Saturday. Today, the Big Ten announces that the conference coaches have picked Wisconsin as the preseason favorite to win the league title ahead of Nebraska. The Badgers' Dana Retke was a unanimous preseason All-Big Ten first-team selection, while Sidney Hilly is a second-team pick. Head coach Kelly Sheffield says his veteran roster is poised for big things.
Yeah, there is some experience right now on the court, and you know, it's a lot of people, you know, that are in their junior and senior year, and a lot of players that have been playing since early in their career. I'm sure that's been a lot of fun for people to watch them progress over their first couple years, their first 2 or 3 years, and you know, I'm sure what we're hoping is to see them taking that next step.
This week's Prep Mania High School Football Game of the Week features 2 of the contenders for the Big 8 Conference Football Championship. Verona will be at Middleton. Join Bill Brophy, Alan Minard, and me for Verona and Middleton Friday night, 7 o'clock, channel3000.com. And the USA basketball men's national team wins its final tune-up for the World Cup today in Sydney, Australia. 84-68 over Canada. A couple of Milwaukee Bucks very helpful. Chris Middleton sets up Donovan Mitchell for that slam. A little later, here's Brooke Lopez to Jason Tatum for 2. The U.S. plays its first World Cup game in Beijing September 1st, and we'll be right back.
Well, let's go to Gary. Final check of the forecast for us.
Yeah, gloomy day today, but we should see a better day tomorrow. Most of the rain starting to move on out now. Things pretty quiet across southern Wisconsin. I think that's pretty much it for the rain. Temperatures right now mid to upper 60s, a little cooler out to the west where there have been some breaks in the clouds. You can see those dew point temperatures, though, still in the mid 60s. So we're seeing some patchy areas of fog where temperatures are cooling off. High temperatures mid 70s tomorrow, back down to 70 on Wednesday, kind of a windy day, and then temperatures looking pretty comfortable for the Labor Day weekend and a little bit of a warm-up next week.
So we don't really know where this hurricane's going yet, but Badgers are in Tampa on what, Friday night?
Yeah, by Saturday evening it could be not far from Miami. But again, there's that cone of uncertainty where it could be anywhere between northern Cuba and still way out in the Atlantic Ocean.
Dreaded cone of uncertainty.
They're leaving after the game on Friday, so they should be okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
As quickly as they can. All right, thanks for joining us for News 3 now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Now.